check my levels here and turn this music down a bit. Okay, I'm going to the yellow now. I'm assuming that everybody can hear me. I'm going to go over to my feed window. If you have any comments or questions, it says that all my levels are right. So let me turn that music down in the background so you guys don't have to listen to it. I'm going to turn my levels on. So let me see. We have about 3 people here. And I appreciate those who are here. Oh, we went down to 2. No, we're not 4. I appreciate those who are showing up. Let me get my ugly mug on the screen. And video capture device, so you can see that. Yeah. I'm still the fat, bleached whale that I always have been. Oh, one of my cats is here. Oh, say hi to Lizzie. She's making her. Well, I think she was one of our earlier videos. She's actually probably just wondering what her kibbles are, because that's what her kibbles are. Howdy. Thank you, Aztec. Yeah, I figure the usual crowd is going to show up tonight. I don't think it's going to be anything, out of the ordinary. I'll just cap this off by saying what probably everybody. Well, no, if you've been following us, we just released an alpha, but it was not the alpha that we wanted because, well, scheduling, it being the holiday season, and budgeting. There's only so much that you can do in a month's time, and there were a number of things that we wanted to include. I'm sorry, but you're moving music tonight. I need to put on something a little more ambient. One of the things we wanted to include the dialogue and quest system. And, we ran up against a hard deadline on integrating the basic coding into the game. Such is life. Such happens. We're having persistent issues with the jumping mechanic. Pardon me. Dusty apartment, not code. But what was I saying? Yeah. We have a jumping mechanic where whenever a cat leaves either the terrain or like jumps or falls, there's some problem. I think it has to do with their collider, but that's something for our player controller guy to figure out. And there were a number of other things. I should just go ahead and open that. Let me see if I still have the manual here on my desktop. Do I update? No, I don't seem to have it. But actually, let me go over here. For those who don't subscribe to our Patreon, what I can do is we go to patreon.com/peace, and that'll just take us straight there. Hopefully. Yeah, I'm sorry. And that will see post. I will go to the post and we can go through the list. There it is. Nope. Let's see. Okay. We scroll down. No, that isn't it either. Anyway, the other, there were about. There was problems with integrating some certain elements with the Sky system. We had a problem bringing in piece animations. I'm sorry, I should have had my list ready. You'll have to pardon me. I had a lot of other stuff going on in the background before I went live. And a number of other things, but again, we just ran up against a hard deadline. That was it. Long story short, we are still a very small group of folks working on a very ambitious game. And we only have one guy right now that everything is going through. We had a chance to expand recently to another, bring in another person, but unfortunately that did not work out. They seem to follow they had a lot of very good ideas, this individual, and I look forward to working with them. Especially because, my goodness, the ideas that she had, we coming with the common code database between Mac and PC, so that porting would be instantaneous on both sides. Well, not instantaneous, but almost seamless, and so many other things. But unfortunately, she subscribed to the idea, like almost the Maoist idea, the great leap forward. Let's just go in and burn everything to the ground and build a greater thing on top. And that was one angle of her ideas that I just thought was incompatible. But anyway, I'm going into it. There's so many multitude of reasons that these elements did not get in to the latest alpha. In the latest alpha, we did add lights, night lights. We added the stat system that now will impact the world soundtrack as you walk around, as your stats change. The world soundtrack changes. There are right now 3 discrete music areas, and I believe there will be about 7. And again, day and night music will be different as well. So it's going to be constantly changing. And I'm looking forward to bringing more of that in. We brought in, as you can see, a new road system, but only for downtown, because it adds a better sense of place to downtown if it doesn't have the same scrolling roads as the rest of the island. I think the only island I've ever been to that has actual curbs but doesn't have paved roads is Cliff Island. Not proudly, it's just a matter of fact. They only have dirt roads out of the island, gravel roads. And, that was my initial idea. It was just impractical. Because if you do have equipment kind of off the ferry, and of course, I mentioned the new soundtrack, and I see some peanuts over here. I'm so hungry. Anyway, the new soundtrack, and actually, here is the manual. Just found it. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to see questions. Audio's breaking up. Jerry is here. Hi, Richard. Richard. He's the guy who's done this new soundtrack. He did a video a couple of weeks ago about a very good, long, detailed insight to how he works and what he does. It did in creating this responsive generative soundtrack campaign. This is one of the features that I was really glad. Out of all the stuff that we wanted to put into this game, the fact that we were able to put it in the first iteration of that is just fantastic. And, it's not 100%. It's always a work in progress, but that's basically the star feature of this. Also, I did the standard tweaking of the biomes, and in this new alpha, the day only lasts 10 minutes, and the nights last 3, because I realized after playing it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times that really walking around at night for 38 minutes. After about 60 seconds, it gets tiring, and I kept on telling people, we're getting night lights, and well, now we do, and what do? I trim the nights down to 3 minutes. Hey, go food. Is my audio still good? Okay, Jerry is. Thank you for, again, stopping by. And, if I really sat here and thought about it, there are probably a billion other tweaks that happened, because, I think the last release we had was like about 3-4 months ago, and jeez, I cannot go into the amount of thousands of conversations and hundreds of emails and messages back and forth talking about this, that, and the other, and so I don't know. Let's go back to the manual here. Let's see. This is a list of stuff. Revised biomes. I realized that some of the biomes were very heavy and had superfluous instancing in there, a little bit too much in some areas, and practically much, so I thinned things out, and it looks a little bit more realistic, and also it means the computer has less stuff to compute. Unfortunately, it's still not 100% because we'll do a little bit of walk around the island a little bit later on, and you'll be able to see. I'll be able to point out some of the things that didn't translate well, and there are some sort of issues. There's always issues. Let's see. We have the status bars, of course. The revised night sky. Yes, the return of the cat moon, and tweaked daytime sky, of course. That was we were able to erase some of Laura's work, but not all of it, because our skybox system that we work with seems to be just giving us perpetual issues. It is what it is. Let's see. Night lights, of course, responsive centric. Function colliders on objects. This is an ongoing thing. I've already received reports of people. Oh yeah, as soon as you turn around, you can walk right off the dock because the concrete things at the end don't have colliders. I don't know. Here, maybe I should have this key up. What I could do is I could just have the curb your enthusiasm. I'm going to bring my system audio up here a bit, so. And we could just we could pretend this is how it'll play out. I can't do a very good Larry David impersonation, but let's see. There we go. Pause. Okay, we've got to get back to the very beginning to make this work right. So I go out today and I release a new alpha, and only later do I discover that my promise of being able to deliver more colliders. It just exploded right in my face when the first person gets back and says, the colliders at the dock where you just get off, they don't work either. Yeah, that happens a billion times. So that's for you Curb Your Enthusiasm fans out there. And I just want to show you. One of the things, this was another thing that we wanted to include, was your cat to be able to eat. And unfortunately, the way things turned out, everything in game development is far more difficult than you would think. Say, for example, you're like, oh, the cat walks up to a food dish and it just triggers the eat animation. Well, imagine the player backs the cat up. And the collider that causes, that triggers the interaction between the two, triggers when the cat is facing away from the cat dish. You've got to now figure out, okay, either come up with a way that when that does happen, the cat rights himself, turns around and starts to eat, or devise a way, another workaround. Like I said, everything in gaming is far much more complex than you think. And what our solution for this, because I really wanted to show off the soundtrack and how you could change it, was we included these spheres here, and if you enter them, they will recharge, one of these bars for you, and you'll be able to hear, the soundtrack change in response. Let's go back to the manual. I forget. Now, when you might like that. Why we couldn't? Yeah. Dialogue and quest engine. Climbing. Whenever the cat leaves the surface, all of a sudden, whenever, like I said earlier, we had an issue with the cat whenever it left contact with the ground and or a collider. The frame rate plummeted horribly, even on our dev machines, which are the best we could get. And again, I think it just has something to do with perhaps a raycaster. Working with collider, I really don't know, but we're going to come up with a solution. That's our number one priority. On top of getting, of course, the Mac version of this out, which has its challenges. Let's see here. New animations in Medium for the Beast. I mentioned that earlier. We're having this issue where the sorry, I haven't talked out loud for extended periods of time, so you know, chat and refresh myself. It makes me such a remember personality when you see something like that. Enough about me. New eating animations. I think I already touched this. We're having this issue with the camera occasionally colliding with objects. I mean, even objects such as like the borders of the the audio zones of the audio section of the responsive soundtrack. They are physical objects. I can show you, but it's not all that interesting. You just see blocks. And it's because the camera. um, uh, uh, I never had this problem before in my builds. When I was doing this solo project, because what I did was I always had the camera focusing on an object right in front of the cat's face, so that no matter which direction you looked, the focus was consistent. And yes, if the camera hit a collider, it would automatically adjust and keep the field of view, the depth of field, and the blurriness and everything correct 100%. Now, this new one, whenever it collides into anything, it just loses focus for about a quarter of a second. And I talked to this guy that we work with, and he's like, "Okay, well, we're just gonna have to turn off all the colliders." And I'm like, I have a feeling that he and I are talking cross purposes, because are you saying the only solution was for this problem is to turn off the colliders so the camera passes through every object? That causes more problems than it solves. And before I had it, anyway, these are kind of fascinating arguments we have around here at the office. Do I have? Yeah. Okay. Let's start from Kirby. Anyway, I'm going to see if there are any questions. Oh no, you can't even hear it. Oh poo, it doesn't work. See, I just fail at live casting. I'm old. Yeah, I'm gonna go over here and see if we have any questions while Mary David said garbled. Hold on for a moment. Let's see. Jeez, I'm going to turn down my volume for a second while I'm seriously just going to attack this with a blower. This is just great viewing, isn't it, guys? Let's see here. Jeez, I came here to listen to him. All right. Hopefully it's less garbled now. You see, that's basically the theme song for everything. Every 10 seconds, I could just play spontaneously, and it would work every time in my life. So, I don't see any questions or comments other than people saying it's garbled. It seems we have, let's see, 9 viewers now. That's kind of neat. Hi, everybody. Please, if you have any questions, let me know. All right. Let's see. I was gonna show, off. Let's see. I guess I could run a new build. And now I know that really YouTube can't handle anything bigger than 1280 by 720. I think we can get some pretty good response out of that. So yeah, let's say we do that. Even though again, the interactivity is limited, and also, hold on. Dang it. Sorry, guys. Okay, you hear me. Oh, shit. Sorry. Damn it. Boy, that went out. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh, my goodness. Boy, I'm failing at this. I'm so sorry. Hi. Yeah, we lost about like 4 viewers there. I'm supposing I'm just gonna watch. You can see me now. My audio's gonna blast. Be careful. Hi. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, thank you everybody for sticking through that. Apparently, my thing there, it was not in a. The USB slot and back needs a little bit of the air being pumped at it. So I apologize for that minute long or 2 minute long insanity and the blast of audio there. So thank you. Okay, thank you guys. So let me see. What I was going to do here was I was going to show you the latest alpha, but what I wanted to do is also, while I talked with you guys, and I hope, you guys have some, comments or questions or something to talk about. I wanted to show you, just give you a quick walk around about, how we generate, all the flora on the island. It's kind of a, quick and neat process. It was one of the first elements I figured out, after I spent, I think, 9 months hand placing every rock and stone and tree on the island by hand. And everybody going, oh, aren't you using a generative model? Don't say because I didn't make any real changes there. Thanks. Now, what I'm going to do also is I'm going to play the single light version to make absolutely sure that we get good performance. One of the things that we've been really struggling with, or I've been struggling with, was we kept on discovering that right before the break of dawn, or sometime right after the sun had set, there would be this real radical switch in where the light was originating from, and I was just kept on looking and looking, and we finally found out that there is a setting for having a scene with dual lights in this dynamic skybox, or one light in this dynamic skybox. Because we were using one light, as soon as one celestial body, either the moon or the sun rose, the main light had to immediately switch. We released a version that has both dynamic lights going, but that came with a caveat that, listen, you're going to need a pretty good system to run this, because while Peace Island is running faster all the time and better all the time, those two light skybox systems are kind of expensive, and we're going to have, until it's 100%, it's going to require a little bit of fixing. But so that's why I'm going with the single light one right now. And let's see here, Peace Island, one light. And by the way, Aztec mentioned something about the audio levels. And I think actually I encountered that. I cannot turn the music off at all in one of the builds, and I'm afraid that may be the situation all around the world, or in everybody's case. I hope it's not, because that means I'm gonna have to really just rush back and do a really quick fix and do my third release. Do I still have my Larry David theme up? You see, I need to have that. No, I don't. So many mistakes. Maybe I'll just start to wah 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 da 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 da. And one of these days, Well, no. Here's the thing. I keep apologizing for it, but unfortunately, that is the lot of a game developer. You're always going to be noticing stuff after you've released it. that you feel utterly embarrassed about, and it's something I was not prepared for, especially somebody with my I have a little bit of an inherited oppositional defiant disorder, from whom I will not say, but um, it's like the program is insulting me. It's like, what? You're saying that I made a mistake? Now, again, I just play that Larry David thing. And I'm going to go with, high. Um, Actually, no. Let's try ultra. I know that YouTube will not, I mean, they've had to throttle back the quality of YouTube videos. If you do not know, that's because, they've had to do that recently because they account now for about 15%, if not more, of all internet traffic. And they're literally melting the servers all over the planet down ever since the, quarantine. And everybody's inside just sitting around watching video. But anyway, hopefully some of the quality will carry through. And now YouTube is going to further throttle me. How dare you say that about us? All right, play. If you can't turn off the soundtrack, I'm just going to say I apologize in advance. And I'm going to stop this music, this ambient stuff I have going on in the background. So just in anticipation of that happening. And I'm going to move everything around so that you can see both my turgid white head floating there. Because I know we could turn this down in the menu. Let's say we go with that for now. Actually, let's just turn everything off. And, well, no. Here's the thing. We really do want to show off Richard's soundtrack. This is sort of insulting to Richard to do our first play of the demo and say, no, we're going to turn off the music. Richard, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. We're going to play it with the music. That's just silly. It's insulting to everything because Richard, again, his music was, the number one thing we really wanted to showcase this time. So, again, Richard, forgive me. Turn down the music, yeah. Hold on. Down a little bit more, and me. Yeah, all right, cool. I should have presets for all of this. Scotty told me many months ago, but, I'm an idiot. If I hope to the international audience you get the Larry David, thing. It's sort of shorthand in our culture for, stupid, awkward error. Unfortunately, also, I don't believe the load and save are 100% functional at this time. I hope we don't lose this. We're able to get the rights to VNV Nation's Perpetual in this truncated form because I really like this intro music that guy did. Oh, this is new. The music now fades out as the game will. Oh, no. This is because the track is coming to an end. Sorry. But that's sort of serendipitous there. But it has always that sort of like Tom Waits, lonely feel that, I wanted the game to have. Okay. And as you can see, it still takes it a minute or two to load. I guarantee you it is faster than last time. And also, we're playing it Ultra. When you play it at Ultra. Oh, yeah, good. Oh, by the way, there we go. Let's music a bit. Here we go. Yeah, at the very beginning, when you boot up the game, turn down my voice there. There's about like 3 or 4 seconds where it's like the music engine is booting up or the orchestra is tuning, and you get a few discordant notes. If those went across, I hope nobody judges the soundtrack by that metric. And speaking of last minute, like, embarrassing changes, let's see here. Turn that up a bit. Last time I released that first version, And then to our faithful Patreon supporters. And then that very next day, I realized that we had two versions of the Veg Studio. We still had the morning, no, the runtime spawner operating, which meant that in the previous release I had done just the previous day, there were two versions of every rock, every tree, etc., etc. It's a nightmare. Wah, wah, wah. Let me see. Many of the new animations are idle animations. I'm just trying to get away from the ocean so we can hear the sound. See, we just walked through a border of the sound, and the camera flickered because it hit the border. Even though there's no collider on it, there is just something wonky going on there. And let's see here. Most of the new animations are idles. Before the cat would just stretch once and then immediately just go into a sleep after about like 5 seconds. Now there's a subroutine. The blends aren't 100% right now, but as you can see, an array where from moment to moment it will change. It will eventually go to sleep, but as you can see now you got a cat loaf. Let me just swing the camera around here. This guy's so dark. It's kind of hard to show off that. Maybe this is another thing that we have, a new cat switch mechanic. This was a much faster mechanism we're using now. And, geez, you thought it was hard to see that kitty cat. Now we're out in the middle of the ocean. Actually, we had a pretty responsive jump there. That wasn't too bad, considering. Yeah, and another thing that's in this thing, and we'll see it when you get out to the main road, is that I hand-scored and hand-painted the ruts on the country roads and the trails right into the terrain. They aren't 100% on the texturing, but I'm see, we just went through another. But I'm kind of pleased with how they came out, so far. And of course, we're now on a side of the island where you don't get much shadow, but maybe we can get out there. Yeah, all right. See, we still have a little bit of popping going on. That's annoying. Always trying to figure stuff like that out. And there we go. All right. Yeah, now we can see the cat. You can see the idols and stuff. And by the way, you can see one of the recharging balloons over there. And we're going to see the sunset here. Like I said, the days are now 10 minutes long. And so you get to see things move pretty dang swiftly. But not so swiftly that's like grossly unnatural. Now you see in the distance there that nice shade of rose. That's a bit of Laura's work that we were able to preserve. She did essentially she sat and she just went through photographs in her memory and just did a fantastic job at recording the colors that are in main sunsets. And unfortunately, again, because some weird quirks, we lost the ability to integrate a lot of that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to walk around at night a little bit to see, night lights. It's not all, dark at night now. And actually, you see, here's another one of those collider issues. But we could just go to another tab. I'm going to go back to Boy and see downtown at night. The switch used to take a little bit longer and everything a little bit slower. It's an incremental process. Now, understand, we now have two people, one expert and one guy that's learning our quest and dialogue system. We are ready to insert, the content. The problem is that we just are having an issue with integrating, all that jazz, the basic coding into it. Because, the game project like this is not just one system. It's a whole bunch of systems that are all integrating with each other and constantly having to talk. And you never know when one party is going to have just, a little hiccup in a conversation, not understand something, and Now, one thing I wanted to show you, and some people are going to think, oh, this is a mistake. You see the sort of Dr. Zeusy curves here? Notice how up there they're like a little bit more normal. But up here, they're so close the cat could just walk right up to them without hitting the collider. Jeez, there's another one of those things. That may look like a mistake, but actually, here's the thing. Like I mentioned in the last live cast when I was showing off like puddles and such, road maintenance and upkeep out on the islands, and this isn't dissing the local governments or whatever, is, you know, a sort of like moment-to-moment thing, or month-to-month and year-to-year thing. And you will see curbs and sidewalks that were literally done decades apart, from like maybe 10 feet of one that was, you know, kind of curb that was here 100 years ago, and then a curve. And sometimes they will do, you know, a new road, and the thing is, the old pavement still settles. Because that pavement was, like, you know, laid when pavement should, when they were like, hey, this would make it a great place for, you know, a sidewalk. And they didn't know, oh, the ground down there is porous 100 years ago and things are going to crash. I would like more variation in the curbs, and maybe that's something, you know, later on down the road. But that isn't something that's really required for what we call, you know, minimum viable product. What we're going to do is, I'm going to see if there are any questions. And I hate how I get to show off my bald forehead. Actually, I'm not balding, but see if there are any questions. Over here, minimize this. Let's see. Is it still drowning me out, or are we still good? I hope we're still good. Now, let's see. You can see the night was very quick and swift there. Dawn is coming. And you can hear the music is a little bit more dour now. That's because the stats now are below, I mean, one of them is below 50%. No, two of them are below, and one is approaching 50%. So as that gets, you know, more and more out of whack, the music will change. And here's another Larry David moment. That foundation. You see that foundation, the house there? But, you know, hey, get it next time. Put it on the list. And, yeah, I'm going to see if I can find a sphere that we can walk into and maybe recharge a bit. Sorry. Sometimes we still encounter lags when it's loading chunk terrain and chunk object data. And that's what I'm going to continue to say for the next 10 seconds until I'm like, uh-oh, and I have to cue the Larry David theme again, because if we have a crash, hey, it happens. Yeah. Sorry, guys. What we're going to do here is we're going to try this again at a lower, slightly lower quality, like high quality. And we're going to do it with the two lights. So that maybe we could see a little bit better quality, you know. I mean, well, there's just, you know, the better lighting system. And let's see, 1280, so 20. All right. So I don't see any questions or comments or criticism. I was really hoping I'd be able to answer some of your, like, questions or something, or comment more on the game's, like, story and plot. I plan on being here for a full 90 minutes. Heck, if nothing else, you know, you got that demonstration of the the vegetation studio that we use, and that's going to be kind of fun. As you can see, a little bit of the behind the scenes development process. Let's see. So, let me just make sure my levels, check the levels. All right. Yeah. And this guy did such a very good job covering Perpetual. Not, I want to give a little bit of credit to other musicians here for a moment. Richard. I mean, Richard did something amazing in this generative soundtrack. But I do want to give props to this guy because I just brought to, I want you to do the cover of, this band you never heard of. And you do like Maine, folk, country folk music. And he just stepped right up to the plate. All right. And you heard there a little bit more of that like discordant bit where the, the orchestra is tuning up. Mm-hmm. Oh, let's see. Can we see the cat moon still? Ah, you can almost see it in the sky there. See up there? It's almost fading into nothing. I'm happy to see the cat moon back because that was just a feature that we had, and I think the 0.4 alpha of Peace Island. It was like released, back when Laura and I were working on the game just together by ourselves. And because of just, I don't know, problems with stuff, we had to remove it. Another thing I want to bring back in, I just want to show you, in sneak mode, this is another thing that got lost. We used to have it. When you go into sneak mode in the next alpha, which we are releasing next month, I want the world to take on a more of a hue that is similar to, cat vision. And maybe put trailers on butterflies and such. And maybe it would be really great if we could have some sort of bullet time where it's like easier to target things. Because I've said this, that's sort of scientifically accurate. Cats see at a higher FPS than humans do. And it would be great to have that in the game where, like, if they go into hunting mode, just everything is like, they have a little bit of Neo and the Matrix in them. I'm just running up to here because this is where the nearest blue bubble is, where we can charge. Now, we have the interior to this gas station. I really want to integrate that, soon. But it's like one of the more, well, it's less consequential for the purposes of the MV. Like I keep on going minimum viable product because that's what we're going for these days. And sometimes when you're developing a game of this size, you lose sight of the forest for the trees. And at a certain point, we realized after we talked to, people with more experience than us, at a certain point you got to start thinking about what is a minimum viable product. Or is, Will Wright said it, and I think he said it much better. In Japanese, in the Japanese tradition of gardening. Now, if we stay here, the yellow will slowly recharge for a bit, and the soundtrack will respond. But anyway, back to the Japanese gardener. Sometimes, the people who create these Zen Japanese gardens, or rock gardens, will say they know it's perfect when they have removed the last thing and it's there. At a certain point, you realize you got to focus on not so much. You got to focus on what exactly you promised at the very beginning, and what you intend to deliver. If we do hope to bring this to publishers, and we sort of lost sight of that for a couple of weeks there, and thankfully we're a little bit back on target. We're going to be a little bit more discerning. When it comes to what we are working on from day to day. But as you saw there, and there's a blue bubble up there. Let's head up there so we get a little bit more blue in our system. Oh, see, we're at nighttime here. And here's, LOD detail. Sorry, guys. Never perfect. Now, here's some place where I meant to do a little bit more painting on the terrain. This is a parking lot, and we have the leaf texture here. I need to repaint in the gravel texture for these paths, but that's a short order of business. Oh, look at that. Let's see. Oh, let's go inside of here. It looks like we have a bouncy ball. See? And the cat clears his head. He's like, I'm as dizzy as you are. I thought they'd have a little bit more English on that ball by now, guys. Well. This is, by the way, the Public Utilities Building. As you can see, the the interior is already here. We have a little bit of leaking of the terrain through here. Wow, when we went inside, the music stopped. That's unusual. Did they create like a little... that's odd. Oh well. We can still hear the geese in the background, just barely. Oh, yeah, but it's nighttime, but you can see here. This is an example of what I was talking about, scoring in the roads. You know, you can see the divots where, the road tracks have gone into it. And let's just go down this trail here. There are a few lights that are out of place you can see here. I'm going to have to fix that. A few, like, boulders. I don't know what that clicking is. Oh, I see. That turn there, let's smooth out those turns. This is... Well, I can't stay around here because...
And we're back. We're just a few minutes back.
Oh, listen.
The hour here on Peace Island Landing, and wouldn't you know who just gave us a call? Yep, it's our weatherman, Jason Olson, National Weather Office. Hey,
Let's see if there are any questions.
there, Jason.
Can't complain, Ben. You had a chance to get out on the water yet?
Trust me, Jason, I'll be out there soon enough. But we need word from Noah.
Well, Ben, today we can expect partly cloudy skies with occasional clearing throughout the day. Intermittent rain and fog is possible. Winds should range between 5 to 10 miles per hour, with occasional gusts up to 20 miles per hour. Tonight we'll see patchy skies with occasional drizzle and fog. South winds around 15 miles per hour, with
Yeah.
in the high 50s. Tomorrow, very cloudy.
Tom Quinlan mentioned something. Morning's coming. Those are set to turn off, and I think I forged another trail back here that eventually gets us to... No, the trail's here, but the eventual destination gets to U2. It's back here, I think. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love sunset, sunrises. Yeah, back here, very close to Greenwood Farms. Got a red bubble up there. Hopefully red bubble doesn't sue me. But, yeah, right here there should be a, a place, another old World War II relic. I really can't go into much of it now because there are a few, like, secret spots in the game story that I don't want to talk about just yet. We have a little bit more popping there. Don't tell me we have another crash. Don't tell me we have another crash. Oh my. You know what? Guys, I think we have something going on here. I'm going to have to see on my own time, and I apologize for this display, on my own time play this, because I think, didn't this happen at the exact same time last time around? We may be having some issue going on here. I should cue the Larry David theme, but hey, you're seeing it live. What we're going to do is just F4, Alt F4 out of this. I guess players will discover this on their own. If it does happen all around, I'm going to, as soon as I'm done with this live cast, I'm going to be asking people who've gotten, the alpha to tell me if they, have that. So, have the same issue. I hope not, because that's really just not good. Let's see. Yeah, Tom here. I'm just going to put this back on in the background while we talk about old times. And I'm going to bring up the project file so we can actually, I can give that demonstration of the vegetation studio that we use. Well, yeah, address what Tom Quinlan was mentioning. Yeah. About, from 2003 until 2008, I ran a website that was, political in nature. I worked in politics for a very long time, but I mean, far longer than I'd like, quite frankly. But you know, while I was working in it, I made my footprint. And the New York Times, if you look up my name in New York Times, you'll see I was featured in their Year in Ideas edition for 2004 as the inventor of the do-it-yourself attack ad. Because before, you know, because I knew a little bit about Flash, and before YouTube came along, Flash and Real Player were really the only ways that you could distribute video and media. And I just, you know, figured, you know, I'm going to do videos about how much I don't like the war in Iraq, and I'm going to set those to music, and I'm going to do them in Flash and put them online. And like the New York Times pointed out, apparently that was new for the time. And I gained a little bit of renown. I worked for a couple of presidential campaigns as a result. And, you know, yeah, that was my thing. And, you know, what happened was, near, jeez. I think in 2005, I was invited to what they call the Internet and Policy Institute for Policy and Democracy on the Internet. And they invited me to one of their get-togethers. And, you know, I went to Washington, D.C. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find my white room here. There we go. Touch volumes. There we go. Don't say. And when I was invited to this event, and I was like, oh, great, I'm invited to Washington, D.C. They're comping my nice hotel suite and everything. I'm going to be able to rub elbows with, you know, the politicians and everything, the movers and shakers of D.C. And, you know, that whole thing sounded a heck of a lot better in my head than it was when the rubber hit the road. When I went to Washington, D.C., I realized that the people, I mean, again, this was at George Washington University, and I got to meet the upcoming political class. And I just realized that they were being taught the worst traditions of the last half century were successful. And it didn't matter whether they were worse or not. There was no value judgment. It didn't matter whether you lied. It didn't matter whether you maligned somebody unfairly. I mean, yes, I maligned George W. Bush and other politicians, but I think I did it fairly. But when I went there, I found out that they were in the craft of trying to figure out how do we get away with lying about people? How do we get away with lying to the people we're communicating with? And what is the best way to lie? And I mean, I just walked out of there with such a sense of disgust and such. I continued running my political website, but I was just counting down the years, and I was so glad when Obama won. I mean, I hate to tilt my thing here because I was afraid I couldn't take it physically to run that political website, to just put up with just this crazy toxic atmosphere that, you know, it had become. And, you know, this is the one last thing I'm going to say about it. I feel, unfortunately, in my own way, I was responsible for a little bit of that. I mean, I won't say it's lowering the tone. So I don't know. It was still everything loading up. It's got to, because, you know, I kicked open a couple of doors as far as communication, and I took what I did. That I said to myself, "Hey, this is working for me. Isn't that great?" Lol. I didn't think about, oh, there are going to be people who come through that door after me, and they will not have the same sense of irony and the same sense of duty, and, you know, the same sense of, you know, I mean, be brutal but be fair. And unfortunately, you know, I think I had a little bit to do with that because I always make the assumption that people are inherently good. Ha! And, they will do what's good in the end, and unfortunately they were not. But what I'm going to show you here, now, this is a Peace Island world. I mean, people have been watching these not these podcasts, but these live streams for a very long time. I mean, the shape of the island. I mean, there it is. That's the panel of, the map that comes up. Eventually you will see where you are on that map. You'll see a little icon one of these days soon. But if we go into top view and turn on ISO, you'll be able to see it's basically, yeah, there we go. Now, before I continue, I just want to go into the next room and get another beverage to drink because I can feel my throat getting very dry, and in about 5 minutes I'm going to start sounding like Alex Jones. So I'll be right back. You'll have to forgive me. Be right back. In fact, I'll just put this up and I'll go BRB. And, this is one of the last things I'm going to say about my time in politics before I go into this demonstration here is that, unfortunately, when you're working in that business, it's almost like, you're running, it's almost like professional wrestling. If you've never heard of a guy by the name of Guy Debord, he spoke about the future of politics being the politics of the spectacle. And I was like, yeah, right, whatever. And we all know what happened in 2016. A guy that specialized in the spectacle. There he is. Let's see. I was going to bring it home here. Let's see. Forget it. The last thing I was going to talk about politics. Let's just go into here. Like I said, I'm out of it. Now, number one, I want to show you guys... back room stuff here. I want to show you precisely how the roads and such were carved into the terrain. I'm just going to grab an object so I can zoom in. You see all these trees and such here. Those are created by a dynamic system, and I'm going to just turn off the realistic lighting so that we can see everything. But again, you can see now that the roads are actually rutted. They aren't flat plains anymore. And we got rid of the physical roads outside of downtown. Pardon me. Hiccup, hiccup, hiccup. But what I'm going to show off here, unless I have any questions or comments over on my right, and I'm going to check that. Excuse me. Is I intend to show you the process and the tool that we use to, create a world like this with so much, all of these trees. It's unfortunately chunking that all this grass, all these rocks that follow the terrain, and are at the proper rotation, everything. I'm going to try and give you an idea how that works. But right now I want to show you, see if there are any questions, comments, or criticism over here. I should get acid reflux. What? Oh, well, thank you, Tom. I don't like thinking about them. Apologies. Doesn't seem like we have any questions or comments or criticism, and we have 28 more minutes of this wonderful stuff. So anyway, you can see all these plants and such. Now, these are created by, we use a tool, and I'm not giving away anything here. There are hundreds of game projects that use this exact same tool. In fact, there are many game projects that use the exact same flora that we do. Sometimes I'm playing a game and I recognize an exact same asset that we're using. And at a certain time, I'm like, dang it, you know, they're using, but at the same time, I'm sort of like, oh, well, that's great because we're using the exact same tools as like AAA studios. So that's great. Now, what I'm going to do here is, let's see, we have a system called the Vegetation Studio Pro. And what we're going to do is expand that over here. Yeah. First off, we have to turn off the runtime spawner. And because, I got to make sure I'm working offline. Sorry, project settings. I don't want to mess anybody else's work up. Give me just 1 second. Editor. Yeah, work offline. Yeah, great. All right. I'm going to go back to what we call our inspector here. Now, up here, you see, I'm just going to show you, edit biomes. We have our biomes up here that basically are lists of everything that appears in the various biomes. And let me see, I'm just going to show you a drop down. You can see we have 9 distinct biomes. And I think there could be room for more, quite frankly. I can put as many biomes as I want in here because it doesn't impact performance. You see, because right now, all of these are baked. Every one of these biomes, I'm just going to take us over here to another one, like something simpler, battery handling. See, it has its own stuff that shows up within that area. And I even have one for, you know, the borders of roads. That's where we need a little bit more work done. And what we're going to do, but right now we can't do anything to this stuff. We can like tweak these biomes, but we're not going to see it in, you know, inside the game here, because it's currently baked inside of something called a persistent vegetation storage package. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into my stored vegetation, and I'm going to clear all the baked stuff. And what it's going to do there is it's just going to revert from the baked, which is sort of like frozen in time version of the rules, to dynamic rules, which we can then go and alter. So we just have to give it a moment. So clear and enable runtime spawn. Oh, I thought it would take a little bit more time. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to choose a biome. And what I'm going to do is, for the purpose of our demonstration, first off, I'm going to turn off certain layers so we can see, just say, for example, the grass and the rocks, and the, you know, grass and rocks, yeah. You see, I've placed the plants on one layer. We're going to get rid of those. Trees, boing, they're gone. And so now, as we go over here, you can see we're going to just zoom in. The only stuff that now appears as the camera gets close in are the grass and the rocks. Now, what I'm going to do here, and because we're just showing a demonstration, first off, I'm going to show you what it means to give you an idea of the basic principle. I'm going to just alter the grass. And to do that, we go into our Vegetation Studio, and I grab that particular biome, and I believe in this case, and I'm pretty dang sure of it, that is called the Midlands, and that is sort of a temperate forest, not pine trees. The pine trees, I call that the Highland. This is the Midlands, and so you see what we have here in our objects. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our right now it's displaying everything that appears in there, and you can see there's a heck of a lot of items. Right now we're just going to go so we can see the grass items. Now I choose that grass item there, and it's the most common one. And I'm going to expand this over here, and you're probably not going to be able to see it because of the quality. As we scroll down, I have that object selected. And you can see here what it has is right down here. It has all these criteria that dictate how that grass will be placed. What kind of slope it will be on. What does it appear above or below a certain elevation, et cetera, et cetera. Let me see. I could just show you. For example, how close do they appear to each other? How dense are things? How do we determine how these items are rotated? Now, just to give you an example, right now we have the maximum minimum scale of this item set to 0.1 and 3. Now, getting to the point, oh, that just jerked us out of position there for a second. Sorry about that. Let's just go back down to a place I know is the Midlands. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to increase just one of these factors, and you're going to see how this responds dynamically in the scene window. See, as I bring up that, it dynamically just says, you know, I'm going to vary the range of height. And now I'm going to say, you know, I would like this to appear only on surfaces that are between, you know, 0 and 7 degrees. And as you can see, it again places them dynamically in response. And of course, there are masks that determine where these items appear and where they do not. And I want to show you just how cool this can be if you're working with big systems like forests. I mean, you could just find out exactly what you need for every little thing. I'm just going to turn on the plants. I'm going to turn on everything. Why the hell not? Let's see here. You see, these kind of rose bushes are only seen near the shore here in Maine. But what we're going to do here, I'm going to tilt our camera up and expand our view. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Midlands biome again, you know, there. And we're going to go over to our trees and see here what I'm going to do is I'm going to select just one of those trees and change its seed. If you're not aware of it, essentially random quote-unquote random engines inside of computers depend upon a seed that they work on. Well, no, not exactly. It's not random. But no. Rule sets depend many times upon a random seed. And what we're going to do here, let me just see here. Come on. Where's my... Oh, there we are. Let's just change the seed that dictates the pattern in which these trees appear in the game world. See? They're winking in and out of existence as I change that. And I could change that for every tree here. Yeah, it just takes a second to load everything. And, you know, and then do another build, and it's got a completely different, you know, forest. And I could do that for everything here, from the rocks to the mushrooms to the grass. And it's an incredibly powerful tool. It's such a time saver. And believe it or not, well, no, actually, when I first started working with this tool, I believe it was $50. But I believe now the deluxe version, it costs about like $120, I believe. You know, some people say, you know, accuse people like me of being an asset flipper. But, you know, because I don't code everything from hand, from scratch. And here's the thing. I don't have time to code everything from hand, from scratch. If I had the time, if I spent the time to code my own spawner, well, no, the point is I don't have the time to do my own spawner. It's so much better for me to spend, say, I mean, this was the early stages of development, $129 on a spawning mechanism that I know is AAA quality and will work, than for me to spend 6 months learning how to build my own. I think the people out there who were supporting my game project at the time weren't paying for me to sit here and learn code. They were paying for me to create this game. So anyway, that's why I use assets, and I tell the story about every other live stream of that guy I met at a game development get together, and he had literally hand coded Oregon Trail from scratch, literally in a text editor. And I said, goodness gracious, that is such an achievement. But let me tell you, if I had the skill to do something like that, I wouldn't have spent a year coding something that somebody had already done. Why not create something original? But I have noticed something that people who are very good at coding tend to be not the most creative of folks. They try, but here's the thing. I believe that people are very good at certain things. I've rarely met an overlap in the Venn diagram of somebody who's, say, a good visual artist and a good coder, or a good writer as far as like story and coder. There are exceptions to the rule, of course, but generally I found that to be the case. I mean, I said this time and again, I'm not a coder. And when I went on to like game forums and showed off my first work, they were like, "Oh, your game isn't real, man. You didn't spend 9 months in a filthy college dorm doing nothing, recoding Oregon Trail." Bless that young man, by the way. He showed a dedication that I would never be able to demonstrate, and I don't mean to diss him. Anyway, let's see. No more comments, and our viewership is dropping as we head into 7:15. I don't know what I go on about. I could call it quits, but if that's the case, I would rather just sit here and talk more about the game. Any story elements? I'm just trying to think if there are any interesting things that have happened recently, like not in direct game development related to Peace Island. Not that I can think of. It's the winter, and the world is pretty much gone to sleep up here. I just did that. Yeah, if you're not aware, about 2 weeks ago, I appeared at a game conference called Server DNA Live in Malaysia. And I had already committed to appearing there before I looked at the time zones, and realized they were literally on the other side of the planet. And they said initially I would have to be there from like only 2 to 3 a.m. So, I took a nap in the afternoon, got up, at 10 and just got ready. But then they had all of us just sitting on hold for like about an hour. And I think I think I finally got offline with those guys at around 4:30 a.m. Serves me right for not being aware of timetable, but it was still fun. I was on there. These days in the United States we have so much COVID. It was so rare to actually sit down and talk to people that were new, that were outside of your immediate circle. It was fun. When we were in the waiting room, we just sat there and BS'd. And bless them. Everybody there, I was the only, American there, and their English was impeccable, in many cases far superior to my own. Whereas I couldn't speak any of their languages if my life depended upon it. So, let's see here, guys. I'm going to ask you questions. That's what I usually do if you don't pony up for the last 13 minutes. We're just going to go to a place where you can see the sun day and night cycle going. and in the main scene. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you questions. Do. Peace Island exterior. Yep. Don't save because that is 100%. Oh, but that's an instance of that. Well, hey, let's give it a fling. Let's see how it works. I can always revert. So as we start this this thing and get it running, I don't actually. What the hell am I thinking? No. Pardon me. No, we're gonna go into that game. We're gonna run it again because we've got a 13-minute day cycle. Let's see if it crashes again. You and I, you guys out there and me, we're gonna experience this together. I love how great quickly Unity just you can kick yourself out of there. On 2 lights. I don't think it has anything to do with the skybox because I mean in both cases it seemed to freeze up at that time. I hope that's not the case. Wah, 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 da, 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 da. We're gonna put it on very high because we're just gonna. So my question: seen any good movies lately? I'm just trying to think of things that I saw lately that were interesting. I'm a big fan of the show that you can see on like Hulu called Difficult People. It has Billy Eichner and a few other people in it. I don't live in New York City, but listen, you got to be like those characters to be able to survive in New York City. And Patriot. That's like on Amazon Prime, I think. I enjoyed that a little bit. I get the impression that the writer was just trying to figure out what the heck he was going to do for the second season. But let me see. Any other questions? Where's everybody from? Where's Woofer Puff? I bet it's still too early in Germany, and he's like sleeping. Woofer Puff is this guy in Germany who shows up every like couple of live streams, and people say he's a troll. Some of the people who are my co-devs, he says he's a troll. Here's my problem. I must have lived during the golden age of trolling because if Woofer Puff's a troll, he's just a really bad one. No offense, Woofer Puff. I just think he's a guy that was asking questions. I don't mind people have asked ask questions. Oh, a tenant. Aztec Market, the theater had theater to myself. Even with a temporal pincher. Yeah, Aztec, let me tell you something. I saw it I won't say how and where I saw it, but I saw it. And there's a guy on YouTube, he's called The Critical Drinker. He did a video called we're a little bit laggy here, I apologize. And these turns used to be a little more fluid. I'm gonna have to ask what happened to those. I'll put that in the list. He called The Critical Drinker. He did a review of it, and he said it's the best and worst of David Tennant, and I agree. You know, he has to have these clever things, and such, and sometimes they play out very well. But I don't know. Sometimes you just come across as, complexity for the sake of complexity. And in this sake, it came across completely as that. We're going to watch the sunset here, because I know this is the place to watch our sunset. Oh, by the way, finally got this switched over. For the longest time, this was like a community center. Now it's a Loyal Order of the Cormorant gathering. But Tenet, here's the thing. I didn't see it in the theater. I can imagine it's very exciting with the pounding music and everything. Here's my final take on the whole thing about Tenet. I kind of like it when it comes to time travel stories. I don't know exactly how these things would be described, but I like these self-contained time loops, these pocket universes that time travel can create. And I believe that here's the thing. Everything after he passes out, after the initial torture scene, has to exist in its own temporal loop pocket universe. It has to. Because you see, the protagonist lives into the far future and somehow creates a this temporal combat agency that is able to go back in time and save him coincidentally at that point. I believe sincerely that everything after that initial torture scene, understand that when you die, your brain basically exudes its last rush of chemicals. You hear people that say, when I thought I was dying, my life passes in front of my eyes. That's a natural result of everything in your brain just going crazy, going, I'm dying. What the hell am I doing? There's got to be some way, something in my memory that will make me, I'm sorry for issuing my nose, that will make me, that will help me get out of the situation. And that's why your brain does that. I believe that everything after that initial torture scene, after he bites that cyanide pill, is the last chemical impulses rushing through his brain as he dies, the protagonist. Otherwise, everything afterwards has to exist in its own temporal loop. Watch it again, you'll see. It has to. So you see, temporal. When you boil it all down to it, Christopher Nolan created all this great stuff, but it's sort of like a Donnie Darko situation, where in the end, it doesn't matter because that's a pocket universe and it exists all on its own. It doesn't have anything to do with our world. Anyway. Oh yeah. Oh, trust me, I've read every Kurt Vonnegut book ever written. I love that man. He's my brother from another mother, along with Harlan Ellison. I'd like to think my brother from another mother. I love him, Harlan Ellison, Kurt Vonnegut. Oh my God, just the best. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Here's the thing. I think after David Fincher said, I'm going to come to the rescue of the the movie industry by forcing them to open their theaters by dint of the contract that they have with our studios. Force them to open and pay for all their bills, all their staffing, so that they can have showings that only one person like Aztec can go to, ruined the movie industry here in the movie theater industry here in the United States. David Fincher plunged a stake into the heart of the movie industry. And quite frankly, I think 10 times as many people saw Tenet by illegal streaming sites, because here's the thing, David Fincher. It doesn't matter how great of a film producer you are or a director, people don't want to die. They don't want to die. Big surprise, I know. Anyway. Oh my gosh, we're 4 minutes out. Sirens of Titan. Here's the thing. Kurt Vonnegut always said that Slapstick wasn't one of his most favorite novels. I thought it was a very poignant novel. I really liked it. But he always ranked his own works, and he put that in, I think a C- or something. Everybody says Krat's Cradle is one of his better books, and it's got great ideas, but again, I could think of other works that touched me personally more. Okay. I'm going to be getting that senior discount soon. Here in the United States, we have, the AARP. I'm going to be signing up for that. Here's the thing. I don't do much. I don't travel. As a sign up, they're giving me luggage because they assume I'm going to travel. I really don't do much. I still live like a college kid. I don't know. But, I'll say that I did kind of enjoy thinking about the concepts that David Fincher brought up in the abstract. I didn't like, ever since he did Memento, I remember when he was in one of these, Meet the Directors, sort of like round tables. And one of the people in the audience gets up and he talks to David Fincher, and he says, did you ever, I mean, when you were creating this, did you intentionally do Memento in this way so that people would have to see it multiple times and give you more money at the box office to fully understand what was going on? And he had a sheepish answer. But honest to God, David, this was that in full display Tenet. You would have to watch that movie about a dozen times to get the slightest inkling. But thankfully, if you go online to YouTube, there are people that have already done that and taken notes. And essentially what you have to do is you have to go through and view each character's story, throughout the movie and view the references individually. And once you understand those characters' arcs individually, the whole movie comes together a little bit more. But I still maintain that everything after that initial scene is just like, again, the last flickering of consciousness through that guy's head. Because, I mean, imagine that you're going through that, and all of a sudden, oh goodness, there's no other release for me except for this, and you wake up and you're in Wonderland and in part of this, secret organization. It's almost like Total Recall, Anyway. Anyway, all these books. Can I just say something? I'm going to diss a series that I liked. I'm pretty sure that anybody who's had Netflix has watched The Queen's Gambit by now. I'm a big fan of Walter Tevis's books. He wrote, for example, Mockingbird and The Man Who Fell to Earth. All of his books that I have read have such quiet, poignant endings. I will have to read his original novel because I did not like the ending of The Queen's Gambit. It lacked that little poof of insight and humanity that Walter Tevis was always able to put into the end of his novels, you see. This was more like Rocky than a Walter Tevis novel. But I still recommend watching it. I mean, if you're stuck indoors, it's cold, you ain't got anything else to do, hey, I recommend giving it a try. Well, let's see here. Okay, we're at 7:30, guys. What I'm going to do is give the usual last couple of minutes of. I'm going to give 2 more minutes for any last questions, comments, criticism, and then I'm going to say goodbye and thank everybody for watching, tuning in, and seeing where we are. And I hope you can tune in again. Next month I'll be doing another live cast when we can show off all that stuff that I said that we run up against that time limit and could not include this time around. Trust me, you will enjoy. See, I like how he put. You can hear the chiming of the clock in the background, just very slightly reminding you time to do something. You see, that's the thing. The soundtrack is supposed to remind you, just subtly nudge you. And by the way, you can see this biome is not 100% perfect. You shouldn't be able to see that far in, because right here, can I say, it's going to be an old burial ground, another cemetery, and really it's supposed to be almost completely overgrown and hidden by the roadside biome that I placed. Again, tweaks. 1 more minute. Passing on the Alpha Link for One Last Midnight. Did somebody say, is that a game? One Last Midnight? Did somebody say, somebody named One Last Midnight? I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. I'm just going to have to Google that, man. Okay, I don't know what One Last Midnight is. That just shows how touching. See, he hooks me in. Okay. Oh, I see. That guy. Was that somebody who talked in earlier? Oh, no, Aztec! Oh, thank you. Thank you for putting up with me. Okay. I'm sorry. I did not connect the lines between Aztec. You and I have been talking about One Last Midnight for weeks. And this is the last question I'm going to answer. I'm going to do him the courtesy of giving a proper answer. Aztec, I'm very sorry. Yeah. Oh, we're still in communication because here's the thing. I am not comfortable putting this game out for streaming yet. I'm just not. There's still too many things that are not working. It's still too threadbare and bare bones of a game. We are not going to be really satisfied with letting it people stream it until we have climbing in. We have the dialogue and mission system in. We have, a lot more music in. I'm just not comfortable with releasing it soon, but trust me, when we do, I'm going to be getting in touch with One Last Midnight, pretty much, straight off. We got a lot of people that, are going to be getting priority seating as far as streaming goes when this is ready. So again, it seems that we are at the end of it, and I thank everybody for tuning in again, and I guess I'm going to do this again next month. I appreciate if you have been contacting us on our Patreon and supporting us on our Patreon. We really appreciate it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it up here so you can see it. It's patreon.com/PP's Island. And now I got to go in. Oh, no. Sorry. Adobe Animate. No, Photoshop. Yeah, there we go. Boy, I make a fool out of myself. Why can't I scale? Yeah, there we go. Patreon.com, Peace Island. If you donate $1, one thin dollar, you will get access to the alphas. And if you donate more, you get premiums. You'll get access to the full game when it comes out. I post a lot of dev news there anyway on our Patreon, so that's open to the public. You should come by and just check it out, even if you don't support the game and you like the concept of the game. So, well, I'll take care, and I will see you guys next time we do this. Bye.